welcome back to another episode of the Stop and Pop. I have Youssef. I want to about your name. Okay, Youssef with me, who is a fan from Europe, started in Tanzania, and is now currently in France. How you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
All
Thank you
right.
for inviting me.
So thank you for being here. First question I want to ask you. So you was raised in Tanzania with no access to the NBA, and then in the early 90s you moved to France, where you was able to watch basketball. So
Mhm.
what initially drew you to the game of basketball?
Well, as a 90s kid, I think that, like most of us, it was the Bulls. We kept
Mhm.
hearing about this team, this incredible team of Michael Jordan and what he was accomplishing. And it was very inspiring. So that what drew me to the game at first, because I played basketball for about 20 years.
Okay.
So what initially drew me to basketball was Michael Jordan, Chicago Bulls, as most of us.
Okay. So who was your favorite player on that team? Was it Jordan? Was it Pippen? Was it Rodman?
Well, I would say Dennis Rodman because like
Mhm.
I like the hustle. Like people would have this real general misconception about him. I've had this crazy guy with crazy hair doing crazy stuff, but his science of the rebound, how he was studying rebounds and making sure that he can be the best in one department of the game, is quite fascinating, actually.
Yeah, I feel like Rodman is really underrated in that aspect because from the Pistons all the way on to the Bulls, he was known for his defense and his rebounding. And
Mhm.
like you said, the misconception of how he acts, how he dresses, how he carries himself really took a toll on his so-called legacy. But at the end of the day, he did get the recognition he deserves because he's now the top one of the top 75 players all time.
Mhm.
Mm. So being in Europe was the influence of the 1992 Dream Team. Was that really big for you?
Yeah, actually, the Barcelona Dream Team in '92 really made accessible basketball to a lot of kids and to a lot of countries. Actually, some countries started broadcasting the NBA after the '92 Olympic Games because they
Mm.
found out about this. Like they found out the interest of the public into the game and into the NBA.
Mm.
So in France, for example, starting in '92, we started having more games. Usually they had the weekly game on Wednesday afternoon, and that was pretty much it.
Mm.
But they started like to develop a wider broadcast of the NBA on it was on cable, so it wasn't like on public TV. And in Italy as well, in Spain, people started to be really interested in the league. Basically, the Dream Team and the Bulls opened the gateway to Europe and the league. And
Mm.
that's what gave us afterwards star European players also being in the league, like Dirk Nowitzki, Tony Parker, who are really also took a lot of light and brought the NBA to Europe and made it more accessible for everyone.
Yeah, Tony Parker and Dirk. I always hear like they're like two of the players that was kind of like the pioneers of basketball for Europeans in the NBA, as well as Pau Gasol, Marc Gasol, a
Yeah.
lot of players. So
There was
have you?
a few Spanish players in the league in the early 2000s. Ricky Rubio, who just retired, for example.
Yeah.
The Gasol brothers. Now we have a few more. Hernan Gomez is also playing in the NBA. Well, he came back now, but he played a few seasons in the NBA as well. Like, the NBA had like Rick Smits, Detlef Schrempf. There were players, European
Yeah.
players in the league. Not a lot, but not with a superstar status, not with an all-star status that will really attract people and make them talk about the league in Europe. Yeah, I think Dirk Nowitzki and Tony Parker, I think it's fair to say that they are the ones who really highlighted the NBA in Europe and put a lot of interest from Europeans into the NBA.
Definitely. So, so you being in Europe and watching the NBA, how do you compare the EuroLeague to the NBA?
Tough
If
question,
you ever really
especially in
watched
the
the
last
game?
couple of years, actually, because the level of the EuroLeague has increased a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I managed to get to see some games of Real Madrid or Partizan Belgrade or Barcelona, and like these teams can compete. They really can. They increase the level. There is a bit more show, so the offense is really improving. They're not only a system play; they have more spectacular plays available as well. The defense is harder than ever. These guys can guard. It's
Mhm.
in the EuroLeague. No matter what team you play for, if you're in the starting five, you can guard. There is
Yeah.
absolutely no doubt about it. And actually, we had a game in Madrid between Real Madrid and Dallas Mavericks for Luka.
Hmm.
Because it is coming back home game. And we saw that the Europeans can actually play the NBA teams and go toe to toe with them. Real Madrid beat even Dallas, who they completely burned an 18 points lead in the third quarter to lose the game by 6, if I recall well. Even if it was an exhibition game, it didn't look good for the Mavericks to lose in such a manner because they forgot to guard and they start completely throwing, giving turn the ball over a lot. So yeah, so the EuroLeague, some teams can compete, like can really compare with the NBA. Can be like maybe a second tier kind of team. And it's still improving. Like the improvement that happened in the last 10 years is spectacular.
I agree with that. I've seen a lot of EuroLeague games and witnessed a lot of Europeans coming into the league, and I feel like they're so advanced in a way, more skilled from a fundamental standpoint. So, what do
Mhm.
you think that contributes to them being
Well,
more? It seems like they're more skilled than NBA players.
the training is different. Like, for example, when you start playing basketball at an early age, the way you approach the game, you don't approach it as a specialist who's going to play forward, guard, or center.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have the whole set of skills: handling, shooting, rebounding, guarding. You got to have it from a young age, and you always practice all these parts of the game. That's why we see guys like Jokic, like Luka, who have all the fundamentals. They can play at every single post, and they can shoot, they can rebound, they can pass the ball very well. So they're more like they can do it all. Basically, you always practice to be able to do it all as a basketball player. In the NBA, their approach is a bit different. If you're a center, like center who can shoot three pointers, it's something very recent. If you remember, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, it didn't even happen.
Yeah.
And back in the day, we only had like Arvidas Sabonis, Damota's father, who would shoot a three every now and then, and everybody would lose their minds.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're a center, you're always working on the post, you're working on your hook, you're working on rebounding. You don't really spend time working on your free throws, your shooting, your long range shooting, because you're a center. So you don't really practice for that. But now with the game changing, and starting to copy a few pages from the European playbook, the players tend to have a bigger repertoire in their game. Now, when you saw Giannis yesterday, dished about 10 assists in his big game. So now, the more you're able to do more things, the more you're able to help your team winning at the end of the day.
Yeah, I definitely see that. Honestly, I feel like the Europeans they are coming in. They were labeled as soft back in the day, but I feel like now they're really tough. Get really physical with you, and well, like the last three MVPs is from overseas, from Europe. I believe
Yeah.
was
Well, we had
Jokic.
Jokic,
Mm-hmm.
Giannis, and Joel Embiid.
Exactly. So, currently, right now, do you see any of the European players possibly reaching like a greatest of all time status?
Luka has it in him.
Mm-hmm.
Right teammates with the right with the right projects,
Mm-hmm.
Luka can reach the top three, top five of the greatest all time. He's
Mm-hmm.
so skilled. He's getting more physical, which is because at first people were calling him soft, but now he's getting more physical. He's working more on his diet, on his conditioning. If he keeps doing it this way and he has the right team around him, I'm not talking about a super team, but
Mm-hmm.
like good role players who can understand him, with whom he can play. Yeah, he can dominate the league for 10 years.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree with that because he's already dominating the league.
he's incredible. Like, the way he plays, like when I saw him playing a couple of times before he went to the NBA,
Mm-hmm.
and the way he plays, like, I've never seen that before. I saw he was maybe 17 or 18 the first time I saw him on the field, and like it was everybody we were looking at each other like, is this really happening? Is this kid really 17? He understands the game. He understands how like he can read the game like no other. And from the moment he reads the game, if he doesn't like start spraying from three and just like going 0 for 10 in the first quarter, he's gonna take control. He's gonna make sure to win the game at the end.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Luka. Like I'm a super huge fan of Luka. I remember watching him when he played against the Thunder. I believe he was like 15 at the time, maybe
First time he
15.
played, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, he's going to be something. Like once he really develops, he's going to be something. And then when
Yep.
he got to Dallas that rookie year, he just took off.
And
So
and people still had something to say about it. Like they still say like, he's soft, he's a bit, a bit fatty. But he's already doing that with everything you're saying about him. He's already doing all of this. Like at least
exactly.
50 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists by being like a bit chubby and not being like super, like having poor shot selection, what was the case in his first couple of seasons. But now, with better shot selection, more conditioning, and the right teammates, which is not the case in Dallas today. I don't see Dallas going anywhere with this team. So I think it's about time that they can restructure a little bit, think about the project, the long run, not try to win now, the way Phoenix Dallas has been doing for the last couple of years. But just think about, like the Thunder is doing it very well. They took young kids, made them play together, build a whole team, a real team, and now they're ready to take over. And Dallas can miss this shot by just being stubborn, trying to win now. When a guy like Luka, he's still young, he's 22, 23, he still has like 10 years ahead of him. Build the project, and you're gonna start winning in 2 or 3 years. If you start swing, one, he tastes blood, he's gonna keep going.
I agree with that. Yeah, Dallas, I feel like they're decent, middle of the pack right now, but I don't feel like they're really going anywhere. My next question is, who do you feel like is the European GOAT of all time right now? Like all time.
Ah, well, I have a
There's been a
soft
lot of
spot for
there's been a lot of debate
Petrovic,
about
but
that.
it's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was a magician. He was really good. But I gotta give it to, like, now between Dirk and Giannis, it's kind of hard to tell because both won, both have rings, both were MVPs. But I think in the case of Dirk, it was because Dirk played for 20 years, so his longevity is unmatched for a European player. Mm, yeah, it has to be Dirk.
Yeah.
And the way he plays better, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I was having this debate with somebody recently about between Dirk and Giannis, and people say it's Dirk right now, and I'm like, yeah, it is, but like Giannis, he's definitely gonna probably pass that with the amount of time he keeps playing and everything, because he's already got the accolades, he's already won, he's already done everything in this league. It's just
Yeah,
a matter of building on what he's already done. And
yeah.
probably playing like 20 years, because what is he like in his 10th year now, I want to say?
Ninth or 10th, yeah.
Yeah,
10,
around that
14
point.
draft, yeah.
So my final question I wanted to ask you, who is your favorite team right now in today?
Wow, the Knicks.
Yeah. hmm
It's been the Knicks for a long, long time, you know. Yeah, I
hmm
was drawn to the game by the Bulls, and I was completely mesmerized with what they were doing. But the grind of the Knicks, this
hmm
team, it has something. Like it's a team of the soul,
hmm
and you gotta love, uh, love losing because I've never seen the Knicks win the championship since I was born. And they were very close. Like the '99 run,
hmm
it's the same as the Heat last year, but the '99 run, I remember waking up at 2 a.m. during the whole playoff run, watching every game live because there was something happening. The atmosphere of the team, the players, um, well, they failed because the Spurs were better. It was a better team, obviously. But when they beat Miami and then Indiana, oh, I was like, oh, this is good.
Yeah, that was a time, man. That was really a time. The city was so much fun at that time because everybody was rooting for the Knicks. And
Yep.
I'm not in New York right now, but I grew up there. And I know the city is having a good time with this team right now because they're really, really good right now. Even they
Oh
lost
yeah,
last night to the Lakers, but
no
they're
biggie.
really good.
Yeah, you gotta win some, lose some. You know, people don't. I saw this morning on Threads actually that people are starting to freak out with the loss to the Lakers yesterday. But the Lakers are not a bad team. The Lakers are what we call a cup team. Like on one game they can win, and like do or die situations they can do it. But to be consistent on a season of 82 games, it's not really working out very well for them. So
Yeah.
losing to the Lakers, there is nothing to be ashamed about. Just like stand up, dust yourself off. Let's go for the next game. That's the Knicks mentality.
And plus, the Knicks are missing a lot of players right now. Randall's out, OG's out, of course, Mitchell Robinson is out. So they're missing their full team. So for them to still sustain this level of success without three of their starters essentially is really good. So
yep. And the All-Star break is going to come on point because we need Randall back healthy quite soon, but he's going to miss 2 to 4 weeks apparently. So the All-Star break being inside this period of time is good. So it's like free time for him to heal basically. But this year, the Knicks, I can see them doing the same run as last year, but me being more competitive on the second round. Maybe making an Eastern Conference final. Now that Embiid is out, the Sixers are going to be losing games. So the third or maybe second seed are still like it's feasible for the Knicks despite the injuries. They can make a conference final, and if they're playing the Bucks, well, we know what's going to happen. Rivers is gonna like butch it again, and he's gonna lose another final, but it's fine. I'd rather play the Bucks 1,000 times than play the Celtics in a conference final.
Yeah, I think the Knicks are currently in third right now. I believe the Sixers have moved out to about 5 or 6 currently, some around that.
Yeah. So with the loss yesterday, it was a missed opportunity actually, because by winning against the Lakers, the Knicks would have like a kind of a head start before the All-Star break to build on it and to be like looking up for the second seed instead of looking back on the fourth seed and whoever is pursuing them. Because the Cavs are being good. So with the Sixers being bad, the Cavs are good. So basically, the competition for the third, fourth, and fifth seed for the East are going to be really, really tough.
Yeah, it is going to be tough because feel like even though like the 7th through 10th spots are the play-in, I feel like the middle of the pack they're going to be really close. So it's going to kind of like be their own little competitive thing going on as well, where they're going to be trading spots for like the majority of the end of the season.
Yeah, until April, basically.
It was what they call it March Madness. So usually it's kind of like March Madness in the NBA as well because everybody's gearing up for the playoffs.
Yep. Well, actually, it's good that all teams are like close to one another, because that way we don't have like an April with games where no starters are playing, everybody's like resting and licking their wounds before the playoffs. They're gonna have to compete into the very last day to get their seed. So we have a full season instead of having a season that stops in March. We know the 8th first was gonna go to the playoffs. We know like they're too far apart for them to compete about anything. So it kind of ruins the month of April. But this year, I think it's going to be until the very last day. It's going to be really, really intense.
Yeah. So actually, I have one more question for you. Have you ever been to America and been to an NBA game?
I spent some time in New York, actually. That's what I call the bug for the Knicks. Where it was in between 2010 2012. I spent also I traveled a bit around the US. I went to North Carolina, I went to Miami, LA. So I've been around for a bit, and I'm planning on going back quite soon, actually. But New York has always been my headquarters. I always start with New York and then go anywhere else because like there is a very special bond between me and this city. I really love being there.
Yeah, New York is a really special place. I love it. It's dear to my heart, especially the Knicks. And everything I hold near and dear is because of the Knicks, honestly. But I want to thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Drop your handle for the podcast on Threads.
Oh, okay, no problem. It's I am yours. I'll send it to you.
Okay, cool. So thank you for being on, and I'll see you on Threads.
Yep, see you there.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.